You get ketchup on your nose, boy.
You?
What's your name?
Jeremiah.
It doesn't matter what your name is. But this is my cousin brother Jeremiah. If you haven't checked out our first video, I will link it down below. But this time we're going to do a video about how to learn a language. And Maya, you're actually teaching yourself new languages, right? What languages are you learning?
Hebrew and Arabic.
Yeah, when he first kind of discovered what language was, he started with Portuguese, Spanish, Korean, Mandarin, and he discovered that Arabic and Hebrew were his two favorites, so he's been focusing on those two lately. And we're going to give you guys some tips on how to learn a language. So tip number 1, we both believe that watching TV shows and cartoons is a very fun and easy way to learn. What's some of your favorite cartoons to watch?
Sesame Street.
Sesame Street?
And Phineas and Ferb.
And Phineas and Ferb, and you like to watch them in Hebrew?
Yeah.
And in Arabic?
Yes. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav.
And what's that?
Hebrew Elmo.
Hebrew Elmo?
Yeah. That means rock disco.
Something that I personally suggest doing is watching your favorite cartoon in English so you can kind of know it well, and then watching it in the language that you want to learn, because you're able to really follow what's going on, and then you begin to pick up words that you remember specifically from the English episode to the, or whatever language you speak, to Hebrew or whatever language you're trying to learn. Number 2, music, which is what we kind of just showed, but music actually doesn't really work for me. Music actually really doesn't work for me because I feel like it's more of just something that's being memorized and I'm not really learning. But for most people, music does work. Number 3, practice with friends and family. And if you don't have any friends or family that speak the language that you're trying to learn, you can use a pen pal. Why can't I talk today? And there's apps where you can get pen pals, and you kind of just like text the person, but you want to make sure you're safe with that. But that's another option. Number 4, take your phone and change the settings to the language you want to learn. So if he wants to learn Hebrew and he has a phone, he should change the settings into Hebrew, and that way whenever you play on your phone, it forces you to practice those vocabulary words. Number 5, take a class. If you have classes at your school or after school clubs, or even if you do an online course, I think taking classes do help to an extent. I feel like practicing is better, but you have to at least get the grammatics down, and I feel like classes really help with that. Do you take a class?
Of what?
I feel like the best way to learn a language is to go abroad and actually study in the country that speaks that language. And for me, when I was forced to speak it and listen to it 24/7, it did give me a headache. But after a while, my brain just began to pick it up and process it. I mean, I still had to study and practice each and every day. It wasn't just like, oh, I went there, went to sleep, was in the environment for so many months, and all of a sudden I spoke the language. It was me actively every single day practicing, studying, and it was super duper hard, but it was well worth it. Be aware that learning a language is an ongoing process. I personally, for me, don't believe I'll ever get to a point where I'll say, hey, I finally grasped this language where I know every single word there is to know. I know how to put my sentences together in every single way imaginable. Because even in my native language, I don't know how to do that. So every day I'm still learning a new word, even in English, for example, periodically.
You have to sit out here and wait a long periodically time.
Alright, I think that'll wrap up this video, and until the next one.
Bye. Gezal.
Gezal.
That is carrot in Hebrew.
Carrot.